Thank you for the introduction, Jesse, and thank you to the Jacob Edwards Library. The album came out in March, Guitar America 250. It does mark the 250th of the signings of the Declaration of Independence. The album includes spoken word because I took quite a few of the songs and make them instrumentals. And I thought the words of the songs conveyed a certain meaning that I thought should be there. This is not a Hallmark card type of album. It is, my mom's very grateful for that. So, but it does reflect on many of the struggles that have happened over the 250 years, as well as many of the celebrations. Some of the pieces are by composers who, to me, represent America in a very beautiful light. The works of Eddie Van Halen and Paul Simon, you might be wondering, I grew up in the 80s, and I played electric guitar. Like that, you just have to have something like that. I'll say more about the pieces as they come along. I'm very excited to have Jonathan Blake with me. The impetus of this came from the gentleman Charles Coe, who is a poet based in Cambridge, who I did quite a few concerts with. And he passed away suddenly in November. And he is on the album reading the Walt Whitman poem. And to honor his memory, I thought it would be great to include some of his writing. So we'll start the evening off with a writing of Charles Coe. I did the arrangement of Lift Every Voice and Sing, and I played it for him. And he said, yes, you have to record this, and do you know about the history of the song? I said, yeah, I've been on Wikipedia. And he was like, and so he sent me this writing, and he would read it the one time we were able to perform it together. So I printed it, and Jonathan will start us off.
Lift every voice and sing. James Weldon Johnson was an American writer and civil rights activist and a leader of the NAACP, where he started working in 1917. In 1920, he was chosen as executive secretary of the organization, effectively becoming chief of operations, serving in that position from 1920 to 1930. Johnson established his reputation as a writer and was known during the Harlem Renaissance for his poems, fiction, and anthologies collecting both poems and spirituals of black culture. He wrote the lyrics to Lift Every Voice and Sing, which later became known as the Black National Anthem. Here's what he said about how it came to be. A group of young men in Jacksonville, Florida, arranged to celebrate Lincoln's birthday in 1900. My brother, J. Rosamond Johnson, and I decided to write a song to be sung at the exercises. I wrote the words, and he wrote the music. Our New York publisher, Edward B. Marks, made mimeographed copies for us, and the song was taught to and sung by a chorus of 500 colored school children. Shortly afterwards, my brother and I moved from Jacksonville to New York, and the song passed out of our minds. But the school children of Jacksonville kept singing it. They went off to other schools and sang it. They became teachers and taught it to other children. Within 20 years, it was being sung all over the South and some other parts of the country. Today, the song is popularly known as the Negro National Hymn. The lines of this song repay me in an elation, almost exquisite anguish, whenever I hear them sung by Negro children.
The next three pieces I'm going to do is a set, Battle Hymn of the Republic, God Bless America, and Star Spangled Banner. The Battle Hymn of the Republic actually the tune is from John Brown's Body?
John Brown's Body.
John Brown's Body, thank you. The lyrics were changed by Julia Ward Howe, and I always thought this was just a religious tune. I grew up in Colorado. Our Civil War history is more, it's focused on kind of Native American history and a few dates. And so this was a lot of new history for me delving in this project over the last about year and a half, 2 years. One of the things that I love to do in a concert is demonstrate what this instrument can do. When I take a song, which is usually verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, I don't want to just repeat everything the same. So this song is a nice example of I change where different voices are coming in. So you might have a soprano voice, a middle voice, and a bass voice. And then we have little effects because the guitar is awesome. The second piece, God Bless America, Irving Berlin was born in Russia in the late 1800s, and emigrated to the States and didn't really read music. He actually played a piano that he had a little control, like a joystick, that if he wanted to change the keys, he would just move that because he liked to play on the black keys. Kind of awesome. The piece, I grew up thinking of it as cheesy, and I didn't really care for it. And then I was doing this, and I said, I should read about these pieces. And God Bless America, he actually wrote in early 1900s during about World War I, and then revisited it just up to World War II. And I read an article online that stated that the KKK hated this song. It was their most hated song because it was on the radio weekly with Kate Smith, and then it was written by a Jewish Russian immigrant. And I just, anything the KKK hates, I thought would be good to put on a program. It's my stage. Do as I wish. And then the Star Spangled Banner, whenever you play guitar and you hear the Star Spangled Banner, we think of one person. Hendrix. At Woodstock, Hendrix played a 5-minute version of Star Spangled Banner at sunrise. And I was like, I can't do that. I don't have a wall of amplifiers, effects. I don't have a whammy bar. And then I was listening to his version, and in the middle he quotes taps. And it's 69, and that was seen, as I started reading more, that it was seen as a political protest against the Vietnam War. And I thought, that will be my nod to Hendrix and anything else. So 3 pieces, Battle Hymn of the Republic, God Bless America, and Star Spangled Banner.
Songs for the people. Let me make the songs for the people, songs for the old and young, songs to stir like a battle cry whenever they are sung. Not for the clashing of sabers, for carnage, nor for strife, but songs to thrill the hearts of men with more abundant life. Let me make the songs for the weary amid life's fever and fret, till hearts shall relax their tension and careworn brows forget. Let me sing for little children before their footsteps stray, sweet anthems of love and duty to float over life's highway. I would sing for the poor and aged when shadows dim their sight of the bright and restful mansions where there shall be no night. Our world, so worn and weary, needs music pure and strong to hush the jangle and discords of sorrow, pain, and wrong. Music to soothe all its sorrow till war and crime shall cease and the hearts of men grow tender, girdle the world with peace.
That was Simple Gifts. It is probably best known through Appalachian Spring by Aaron Copland. It was a shaker song. And the gentleman who did the arrangement, Fred Hand, is a friend of mine who lives in the Hudson Valley. And putting this project together, I wrote to him and I said, Fred, can I have your arrangement? And he said, it costs lots of money. He sent it right over. And it's a real pleasure to be able to share that with you. America by Paul Simon is a different tune. To me, it represents a part of America that I think many who grew up have done. It's a road trip across the country. And in the original song, that's what Paul Simon is singing about. And putting Paul Simon on the guitar solo is it's just interesting. And it's been a lot of fun. I grew up, again, in Colorado, so I spent a lot of time driving. I didn't know that this was 1968. In classical music, this isn't even like contemporary. I mean, this would just be modern. So I guess Paul Simon is forever, but I think he's 80 this year. So there you go. America by Paul Simon.
Proud music of the storm, Walt Whitman. Proud music of the storm, blast that careens so free, whistling across the prairies, strong hum of forest treetops, wind of the mountains, personified dim shapes. You hidden orchestras, you serenades of phantoms with instruments alert, blending with nature's rhythms, all the tongues of nations. You chords left as by vast composers, filling the midnight late, bending me powerless, entering my lonesome slumber chamber. Why have you seized me? For thee they sing and dance, O soul, a festival song, The duet of the bridegroom and the bride, a marriage march with lips of love and hearts of lovers filled to the brim with love, the red flushed cheeks and perfumes, the cortege swarming full of friendly faces, young and old, to flutes' clear notes and sounding harps cantible. I hear the dance music of all nations, the waltz, some delicious measure, lapsing, bathing me in bliss, the bolero to tinkling guitars and clattering castanets. I see religious dances old and new. I hear the sound of the Hebrew lyre. Give me to hold all sounds. I madly struggling cry. Fill me with the voices of the universe. Endow me with their throbbings. Nature's also the tempests, waters, winds, operas and chants, marches and dances. Utter, pour in, for I would take them all. Then I woke softly and pausing, questioning a while the music of my dream. Let us go forth refreshed amid the day, cheerfully tallying life, walking the world, the real, nourished henceforth by our celestial dream. Haply what thou hast heard, O soul, was not the sound of winds, nor dream of raging storm, nor seahawks flapping wings, nor harsh scream, nor vocalism of sunbright Italy, nor German organ majestic, nor vast concourse of voices, nor flutes, nor harps, but to new rhythm fitted for thee. Poems bridging the way from life to death, vaguely wafted in night air, uncaught, unwritten, which let us go forth into the bold day and to write.
You may have noticed the Francis Harper and the Whitman, when creating this project, there's a lot of American poetry. You should read it, all of it. With gusto, like that. If I could read like that, I'd read poetry every day. I do, but not out loud. But each of the poems, when I asked the readers, there's 3 different readers and myself on the album, the piece had to connect to music. So the Francis Harper, I think is, God, there's the line in there, we need music. What a great time. Yes, we do. And Whitman is musical in itself when he's not even writing about music. But that just grabbed me. And so the 2 readers, Trevor Neal and Charles Coe, asked, can we read these? And I said, of course. 316 is a lullaby. You don't think of Eddie Van Halen and lullabies, but this is a piece that he wrote for the birth of his son on March 16th. 316? It's Eddie Van Halen. It's not complex. It's impressive. And he used it as the introduction to a guitar solo called Eruption. I am not playing that today. Yes.
It's a good one.
Yes. But I have a project called the New Lullaby Project. I have played quite a few lullabies in this library. I started asking composers to write 3 to 5 minute lullabies that could showcase them and the guitar. And I didn't give many rules, just a certain length, couldn't change too much of my tuning, and it had to be beautiful. And I did this for a couple of reasons. One, I love contemporary music. I think music should reflect our time now, and so composers are alive now, and they're there to answer questions I may have, which is important. And 2, they're kind of afraid of the guitar because there's all these notes. I have 4 middle C's. It's just a complex instrument. And 3, the most important, is I like playing for audiences. And contemporary music, it's a kind of a hard sell, but a lullaby. Who's afraid of a lullaby? And so I did an album in 2010 called New Lullaby, and I thought the project would be over. And instead, composers kept sending me lullabies. So we now have 3 albums of lullabies, 2 score anthologies, and I have premiered 80 and have a few more on the way. So Yes, I still do not sleep that well, but I'm hoping number 82 will. So I say that because the second piece on this program is called Midnight Train, and that was written for the project, New Lullaby Project, by Ian Weiss. Ian Weiss is a composer who is from New Jersey, and that's over there. And he was living in Quincy, Massachusetts, and working in Boston. And he would take the Red Line, for those who've never left this area, that's a subway in Boston. And he would take it late at night after work, and he would hold his bag very tight, and the rhythm of the train would put him to sleep, and he thought, that should be a lullaby. And so he wrote Midnight Train. And you're lucky, because he's here today. He's that guy over there. The third piece is by me. This is the title track to my album called Honey Cadence. It is a meditative work that I wrote in 2022. And basically, a cadence is what happens at the end of a phrase of music. If you've been to church and you've sang a hymn that ends in amen, that is a plagal cadence. We have perfect cadences, imperfect cadences. I do think we should have a seductive cadence, but we don't. We just have a deceptive cadence, which could be seductive, but it's not. And I always thought we should have a sweet cadence. And so for this piece, I thought honey is sweet. I'll name it Honey Cadence. So 3 pieces, lullaby-ish. If you do sleep, I can't fault you, but you're welcome to give an elbow if you want. The last guitar piece on the program is America from West Side Story by Leonard Bernstein. It is actually the opening work on the album. And I chose it in part because I thought it represented something really beautiful about America. We have a guy from the Boston area who is writing a piece of music inspired by Romeo and Juliet that takes place in New York between Puerto Ricans and white people in New York. And that just seems very American to me. Quite a few of the composers have that kind of story about either their lives or their work. And it's also like, Puerto Rico is part of America. I know it's contentious, but it is. And they have some great music. The rhythm is actually Puerto Rican dance. And yeah, then we'll talk about the last work on the program. Thank you so much. So this last piece, the Bill of Rights amended. This was kind of it happened one morning over coffee type of thing. I looked at the Bill of Rights, and it was literally last summer, and I sat down with my cup of coffee, and I was just reading over it, and I started messing around with a technique I later learned called erasure, which is where you take words out, adjust things just a little bit. And I was reading it, and I thought, oh, this could get a little more emphasis. This could get a little, we can adjust this here and there. I'm not a lawyer. This isn't meant to be that. It is just, hopefully, bringing attention to an important document in a new light. And so it is the last piece on the album, in part because it was my voice, and it was scary to record my voice. I don't know if you've ever heard your voice on a recording. It was not fun. And so I don't have to read this. What I thought, and we've done this kind of came about the last minute. This is like album release concert number 6 or 7, and we've done this at the end of each of them. There are 10 amendments. And I thought we could open it up for people if you'd like to come up and read them. And I will play while Jonathan will lead us.
Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law. No law. No law of religion. No law prohibiting the free exercise thereof. No law abridging the freedom of speech. No law abridging the press. No law abridging the right of the people peaceably to assemble, peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances.
Amendment 2. A well-regulated militia being necessary. A well-regulated militia to the security of a free state. Free state. Free state. The right of a well-regulated people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Amendment 4. The right of the people to be secure shall not be violated. Not be violated.
Amendment 5. No person shall be held, nor shall private property be taken.
Amendment 6. All shall enjoy a speedy and public trial, to be informed, to be confronted, to have compulsory process, to have the assistance of counsel. All shall enjoy.
Amendment 7. Trial by jury shall be preserved.
Amendment 8. Shall not be required excessive bail, excessive fines, cruel and unusual punishments shall not.
Amendment 9. The Constitution shall not deny or disparage of certain rights retained by the people.
There's only one left.
Amendment 10. The powers not delegated are reserved to the people. No, let me read one again.
Oh.
Take it from the top.
Good. Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law of religion, no law prohibiting the free exercise thereof, no law abridging the freedom of speech, no law abridging the press, no law abridging the right of people peaceably to assemble, peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Jonathan Blake.